don't know, because at that time the population was at that time centered in the Middle East and the area of the Roman Empire. But anyway, you come on down to verse 50. When Jesus had cried again with a loud voice, he yielded up the ghost to the Spirit. In other words, of his own volition, he gave up his own life. Even though Peter in Acts chapter 2 will tell the nation of Israel, you killed the Messiah. Another aspect of Scripture, we feel the Romans put him to death. But in actuality, neither one did. No one took his life. He gave it up of his own free will. They couldn't take his life if they'd have wanted to. But he yielded up to go. And immediately, verse 51, the veil of the temple was rent in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. Now, a lot of people missed it. I know I have some folks who were studying this in Sunday school over the Easter season, and their class just seemed and they couldn't understand why the veil was rent, and especially why from the top to the bottom. Well, I thought everybody knew that, for goodness sakes, and I was just shocked that people who've been in Sunday school and church all their life didn't know this. But you see, the veil was that part in the tabernacle and later in the temple that separated the sanctuary, the forepart of that tabernacle, in which the priests ministered daily, from the Holy of Holies, wherein was the Ark of the Covenant, the presence of God, and the Shekinah glory, and all that. And it was only behind the veil that Aaron, the high priest, would go once a year on the Day of Atonement, which we're going to look at in one of these lessons now associated with all this. And only once a year. And then after the temple was built, in Solomon's temple, that veil was so thick and so heavy, I think it's Josephus that sort of gives us an indication that a team of oxen couldn't have ripped it apart. And yet, the account says that it was ripped in two from the top to the bottom. Now, the reason, of course, Scripture makes it from the top to bottom is to prove that this is something men had nothing to do with. This was totally an act of a miracle-working God, that the veil was rent from top to the bottom, indicating now that the way into the presence of God had been made possible by his death. Because the veil in symbolism spoke of his what? His body of flesh. And it's that suffering of the body of flesh that made it possible now for mankind to come into the very throne room of heaven, not just by way of the high priest once a year, but as Paul then teaches that we can now come boldly into the throne room because of what has been accomplished. So this veil was an indication now that by God's own act, the way in had been opened up. Now, what I always want people to understand, of course, is that immediately, what do you suppose the Jews did? Well, they sewed it back up, and they went on their way with their temple worship, never realizing what had caused the veil to rent. And so as temple worship goes on then into the book of Acts,